Hi, welcome back. Well, just over a year ago, Cyclone Haiyan slammed into the Philippines. More than 5,000 people died, 10 million people affected, and just a few days after that, Jeff White was there on the ground. How are you, Jeff?
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have looked too excellent, though, I imagine, at the time.
No, it was destruction and mayhem on a grand scale. Public buildings destroyed, people's livelihoods, and obviously a lot of death. Fortunately for us, most of that had been. We arrived about day 10.
Okay.
So
dead bodies had been removed by then, and
correct.
The clean-up was beginning already.
Yeah, people are remarkably resilient.
Wow.
And they were already, pulling their lives together.
Yep.
Much better than would happen in a first world country like ours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were there volunteering. You'd been asked at short notice to come to the Philippines by the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, ADRA.
Correct.
But you were volunteering, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. I have acquaintances that work in ADRA, and my name sort of came to their notice when they needed a photographer. Everything fell into place. When God wants you to go somewhere, He makes it happen.
And so there you were with this beast?
Yes.
Oh, it is a monster, isn't it?
Yeah.
Goodness me. So, why? I mean, obviously the news media were there, early taking photos for
Correct.
there. But why did they need a photographer?
ADRA sent Braden Blyde, who's ADRA staff. He's an accomplished journalist. And so he was writing the stories, and rather than put pressure on him to have to also find the photographs, I was sent to be sidekick basically and record some images. Because
let's face it, a disaster is a very visual story, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. The supporting images are often very, very powerful, and a picture tells 1,000 words.
Yeah, boy. Did any particular images stand out in your mind? Maybe ones that you captured, or maybe ones that as just in your mind?
There are many stories. The coastal fringe was the worst hit, and there were many families affected, but the one that really stood out to me the most was a guy who'd lost his wife recently before the disaster. He had 10 children.
Wow.
Their house was completely destroyed. The adjacent house was also completely destroyed bar one concrete wall. And they'd found some tin and leaned it up against the concrete wall, and they were all living in that space and basically exposed to the elements. They had no food. His boat had been destroyed. Their boats are fairly crude fishing boats without riggers, and so he had no means of earning an income, no food, and all these mouths to feed. And it really tugs at your heartstrings to see that kind of thing. But ADRA were there. They'd provided him rice.
Okay. And, so those emergency supplies.
Correct. Clean water, something to carry the water in, and obviously the hygiene and sanitation kit, which basically gave them washing powder and a towel and women's sanitary products and all the other bits and pieces that you need to live.
Just those few small things can make so much difference, can't
Correct, yeah. It was interesting that the washing powder was something that was a big hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were there not just to document the disaster and the damage and destruction, you were also there documenting the relief effort, is that
correct,
right?
Yeah. We one of the main tasks that we were set was to actually document the process of identifying individuals that needed the assistance in the local barangays, and then the actual distribution when that happened. And we've got obviously great photos of people lining up with their ticket in hand, ready for the delivery of their aid.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So, you sort of wonder sometimes, if you give a donation to some international aid organisation, you wonder, well, where does that money really go? Does it, get frittered into advertising and consultants and all this sort of stuff you hear about. Did you see evidence of donor money on the ground there? I mean, you mentioned care packs, which obviously a couple of bucks each. But
one of the wonderful things about ADRA is the way they make fantastic use of the funds that they've got. One of the things that was awesome to see was a semi-trailer arrived with all of the wash kits aboard. They were basically thousands. I think it was something like 4,000 20-litre drums.
Oh wow!
And the truck arrived at near midnight, and all of a sudden there must have been near 100 people from the local church arrived and unloaded the semi in about 20 minutes.
So these are people who are possibly being affected by the cyclone themselves?
Absolutely, they were affected. And that semi-trailer was unloaded and into the warehouse in no time. They then also assisted in filling those containers with the toothpaste and the toothbrushes and the towels and all those things that go to
the
make
individual
up the
packs.
kits. So an enormous amount of labour, free and gratis. Also, ADRA are able to pump some money back into the communities for paid work for some of these tasks as well, which kickstarts the economy and gets things rolling again.
Wow. I know you don't work for ADRA, you were just there volunteering, but have you heard, I mean, this is more than a year ago now, was that sort of it, give emergency supplies leave, or is ADRA still involved in some way?
My understanding is that ADRA is still involved in a couple of the different clusters there, one of which is the food security and the hygiene.
Okay, so on ongoing help with those sort of things.
Correct.
And I mean, you mentioned people on the coast, fishing boats destroyed, that sort of stuff. Is there any effort being made to help people sort of re-establish a livelihood or rebuild homes?
One of ADRA's big contributions when they were in there assessing the needs originally was the need to get the boats back in the water. So these guys could actually then get back to work and provide for their families. There's
a fishing community, so
it's basically where all the fresh seafood comes from the Philippines, is that area in Cavite. And so they've basically put programs where they're providing materials to repair boats. A lot of the boats were not completely destroyed but were damaged and they needed to repair. And I believe they've also been involved in teaching people the boat building skills.
Okay, well, there you go.
Providing,
so the work goes on. Well, that's really good to hear. So we're just about out of time already. I was going to ask you about Nepal, but I don't think we're going to be able to get there. But as of a volunteer, is this the sort of thing you'd consider doing again at some point?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sounds pretty traumatic to me. I mean, spiritually, emotionally, and in a lot of different ways.
It's a way that you can give back. I would encourage anybody that wants to contribute to do so by volunteering. I've got a particular set of skills. I've got a nursing background, and this has prepared me for doing that work.
Some sort of extreme environments.
Correct.
Yeah, human suffering.
And so I would do it again in a heartbeat. It's really fulfilling work. And I was privileged to be able to be a part of it.
Now, ADRA's actually got a bit of a push on at the minute for their disaster and famine relief projects. So if you would like to visit their website, adra.org.au, you can check out the projects that they're doing there, find out any information and see if you want to volunteer or support in other ways. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you after the break.